Hello everybody, this is TipTop MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, we are looking towards the future with 2021. I'm going to be giving you my predictions for what I think is coming to MTG Arena every single month of the year. A while back, or I guess a couple weeks ago, I did a video where I talked about what I thought was going to happen in Magic every month of the year. And this time we're talking a little bit more specifically about MTG Arena, and actually more specifically what I think they're going to talk about during the state of the game, which is essentially a monthly post where they tell you what's happening in the update and sometimes drop teasers for future months. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just going through month by month, and that's going to go fairly quickly, and then at the end I'm going to talk about the future of MTG Arena as I see it, and we can kind of have some fun with that. So why don't we jump right into this? Starting off in January, I think two major things will happen. I think we're going to get the release of Kaldheim, as we already know this is going to happen in January, so that's already been guaranteed. However, something that they said they predict will happen in January is the mobile release, and it makes sense. They like to release new platforms, and I say this as if they do it often. They did it with macOS alongside Core Set 2021. It seems like it would be a better idea to release it alongside a set. That way you can kind of market both at the same time. So I would not be surprised if we see it with Kaldheim. I would also not be surprised if we see it mobile with Strixhaven. But based on what they're saying, I think it's going to be alongside Kaldheim. Along with that, we're also going to get the future roadmap of the year, and we've got one of those every month. Every time a standard set is released this year. However, not much has gone in and out on the list, so I expect some bigger changes, whether it be new things moving up in the development timeline or new things being added entirely. Maybe we do see, in concept 4-player modes or something along those lines. I would not be surprised if we see that there, or at least that's what I'm predicting we will see. Next, we have February, and so with the February game announcement, it is going to be a lot smaller. This is generally how it works. It's going to mostly be an advertisement for events. So they're going to first advertise Kaldheim festivals, which are going to be how you can get yourself those Viking-themed showcase cards, along with the other unnamed showcase cards that they've apparently have coming. And yeah, so those will be released there. They're going to announce the return of workshops as they prep to go back to removing FNM at home. Well, I don't want FNM at home to be removed because I think it's really fun. I think it is inevitable, and I think when that does happen, they're going to swap them out for workshops, which we actually saw introduced with Theros Beyond Death back in January of this year. And this year I am referring to 2020. So I think they're going to announce the return of it, because the stated reason why they're getting rid of it is that they felt, it felt kind of pointless with FNM at home. I disagreed a little bit with that, but I would love to see them return. And then I think we're going to get default basic lands. You're going to be able to set them there. I think they're going to make a big deal about this, even though it is kind of a smaller quality of life thing. But generally, this update isn't going to be too huge. It's going to be mostly about the events. And honestly, I did have a big problem with this, and we're going to talk a lot about State of the Games at the end of this, but I guess it makes sense as MTG Arena is becoming more feature complete that they're going to mostly be doing events. And honestly, I guess Magic cards themselves aren't a game, it's the events you play. And so I do think we're going to, in the future, start seeing a lot more just events in State of the Games. Next, we have March, where I think we're going to get Historic Anthology 4 being released alongside kind of historic festivals or historic events, where you can get yourself styles from the Historic Anthology. And then on top of that, to celebrate the new Historic Anthology 4, we're going to get a new cube, because we've gotten the Tinkerer's Cube and the normal Arena Cube. I think we're going to get some third cube, maybe not even connected to Historic Anthology 4, but just something in addition. Again, kind of just events, although we are getting a new card set. I'm speaking as if this is actually happening, but yeah, I think we're going to get Historic Anthology 4 in March, and followed up in April, I think we're going to get the release of Strixhaven. I think this will be later in the month so that it's not right on top of Historic Anthology 4. We're also going to get the future roadmap, and we're also going to get Strixhaven festivals in the same month. They may not be announced in the State of the Game, actually. Like with Ikoria, they were announced on a weekly MTG Twitch stream. So would not be surprised if something similar happens, because I'm also predicting that very quickly after, we're going to get Pioneer Masters, along with the Historic Brawl Queue being permanently enabled with the release of Pioneer Masters and Historic Events. Again, we're getting another card set, so it's Historic Anthology 4, Strixhaven, Pioneer Masters, And with Pioneer Masters, we're getting Historic Brawl Queue and Historic Events. I think this makes a lot of sense that they're going to time Historic Brawl coming out alongside the release of a big Historic set. And so I think Historic Anthology 4 was too small. I think Pioneer Masters is that perfect size to launch Historic Brawl with. I would love for it to come sooner, but if we're talking realistically, they're going to be analyzing the data from January. It's going to take them a couple months to make a decision, it seems like, and they'll want to release it at the right time. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to release Strixhaven and then also say, here's Historic Brawl. I think that would be fine, but I can tell they would rather do it alongside a Historic launch. And then we're going to get more Historic events. Then in June, remember, just 2 months ago we had Strixhaven, we're getting Forgotten Realms. And if you're wondering why everything is so cramped, this is actually following the same cadence as last year. We had such a very tiny gap in between Strixhaven and Core Set 2021. And a big reason I think that is that I think that, if you guys don't know, there are going to be 5 standard sets next year. And they said they don't want to make that like a regular thing that's just happening next year. And the reason I think they're doing this is I think they want to get to a schedule where things are more evenly spaced out, so that the distance between, Zendikar Rising and Kaldheim is much bigger, like way bigger than the distance between Ikoria and Core Set 2021. And so I think that they're going to try and even it out. They may even say, just 90 days in between each set, and that's just how it goes. I would personally think that would be a better thing. That way we're not getting times where like the meta just barely shifts forms and then a new meta appears. It's kind of consistent. And it also means that this period between Zendikar Rising and Kaldheim, or what will be Innistrad Vampires and the next set after that, will not feel so barren, and like it feels like the meta's been around for a very long time and we still have a pretty long ways until Kaldheim. So I think they're going to be... the first half of the year is going to kind of be normal, and the second half is going to shift, and we'll see that here in a second. But I think that'll lead into 2022 being a more regular, or a different year, I should say, all around, where things are more evenly spaced out. Either way, then we get more secret layer integrations. So as we get more and more cards in there, I think they're going to start adding more and more cards. Like with Thalia, for instance, they added her in a Historic Anthology and then did a secret layer around it, and that was like the only time we've seen them connect. And I think we're going to start getting that more, and then we're going to get a future roadmap as well. Then in July, we're going to get Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, and I think this is honestly the perfect time. If we're going backwards in time, I believe this is the next set, or groups of sets that are going to be coming out, and then you know what comes right after Forgotten Realms? Well, you get Innistrad. So I think it makes a lot of sense to do Innistrad Remastered and then go to Innistrad. That way when Innistrad Remastered comes out, there's a lot more hype for Historic players who have now gotten these Shadows over Innistrad cards, can then use those with the new cards. If it doesn't happen before the new Innistrad sets, I am almost guaranteeing it'll happen shortly after. And then I think they're going to release a deck sharing. Again, I'm trying to sprinkle the confirmed features throughout the next year, and I think this just is a fitting place for it. Then in August, I think we're going to get Midnight Hunt, which is what I predicted and what has been leaked to be the name of Innistrad Werewolves. Alongside that, we're going to get Spectator Mode in preparation for the upcoming esports tournaments, and we're also going to get the future roadmap. Now, August is very early. Normally, it's September, so I guess it's not that early. But again, I think they're going to start shifting it around, and I think Innistrad Vampires is going to be the first set that's on the kind of new normal. For instance, if, say, it releases in November, 90 days later, they're going to release the next set 90 days after that, next set 90 days, and then it'll be in a consistent cycle. So I think they have 2 sets here that are going to be slightly spaced apart so that Innistrad Vampires can follow the new cadence, while Midnight Hunt is kind of a bridge to that new cadence. So this is what I think is happening in August. In September, I think we're going to get the Midnight Hunt festivals, along with a new type of cosmetic. I really don't see them going a full year without releasing a new type of cosmetic. This year we got the emotes, and next year I think we're going to get battlefields where, yes, they're going to give each person all the battlefields that normally release, you're going to be able to choose them rather than have them be random, and then they're going to have some paid battlefields which just make it so that you get to see what you want to see. And then they're going to do the Playblade rework, which they've been talking about what feels like for years now, and it's going to finally come September 2021, so a very long time. I would love for that to happen a lot sooner. Maybe they'll do it alongside the release of Historic Brawl, as another format's being added. It makes it easier to see, but we'll have to see. Then we have October, where I think Modern Horizons 2, and I know this is like a bold statement, is coming to MTG Arena. And I really went back and forth on this one. First off, they're trying to go towards Pioneer, and adding Modern Horizons 2 really doesn't do that because these cards are legal in Modern, not Pioneer. But I think that it is going to happen. Why? Because you have to look at the standards or the historic sets release. I mean, this year we got a ton of them, and historic really wasn't their top priority. They kind of pushed it out the second half of the year with Amonkhet Remastered, Kaladesh Remastered, Jumpstart, and we did get some historic anthologies earlier, but I think this makes a lot of sense. It would really shock me if we did not get at least one of the products in paper that was being released that's not standard in the, like, I think at least one of the products next year that's released that's not a standard set will make its way onto Arena, whether that be Time Spiral Remastered or Modern Horizons 2. I think Modern Horizons 2 makes a little bit more sense. Maybe they'll do what they did with Jumpstart and swap out some cards, but yeah, I think that'll definitely happen. No, I don't think it'll definitely happen. I think it could happen. And then big bug fixes, sorry, I meant to mention that. It also will be the time of the year where they do their cleaning up. They've been doing it for the past 2 years, the last couple months of the year. End up being like cleanup months where they try to make the game stable just to make it unstable next year. Then in November, we're going to get Crimson Vow, which will be their kind of Zendikar Rising of this year. It'll be so I have the first Innistrad a month before Zendikar Rising was this year, and the second Innistrad a month after that. So kind of a little gap in there. It is a short gap, but then it'll bring us onto this release schedule that's a little bit more consistent across the year. Then I think they're going to do big bug fixes, and then I think they're actually going to reveal their future roadmap a little bit earlier, because I expect that the first set of 2022 will not be as early as Kaldheim will be next year. I think it'll be February or even March. So we'll really have to see, because I expect Crimson Vow to be a late November thing, maybe right before Thanksgiving or something along those lines. But yeah, that's where I think it is going to release. And then for December, I think we're going to get Historic Anthology 5 and what I call big bug fixes again, more tidying up, and the Historic Anthology 5. And then I expect probably January to be maybe a remastered set leading into a new standard set coming out after that. So yeah, that is what I think is going to happen in 2021 for MTG Arena. Now, I want to talk about it. Now, looking forward, there are three main topics that I could call MTG Arena State of the Game things. There is either a feature announcement, there is card announcements, and there are event announcements. A lot of people like card announcements and event announcements, card announcements and feature announcements, and don't like event announcements. But as we move forward in MTG Arena, there are only so many things you can add. And as I touched on earlier, Magic cards are not a game. It's how you play those. So going forward, I hope we can get some more events, but I hope we can also get some more free events or events that have meaningful rewards for their entry fee. Because right now, making players choose between playing how they want to and playing with the cards they want to is not a great feeling. And so I hope going forward, if they do move towards this more event-oriented state of the games where they're basically just announcing here are the new events, I hope we can see more events for everybody, where it feels like right now it's very divided. Like, people who don't care about cosmetics aren't going to play the events, even if they want to play the events. Now, that's not true of everyone, but it's true of a lot of people. And so I hope we do see some design change there, because otherwise you look at these state of the games and you're like, well, I don't like cosmetics, right? So I don't like the festivals. So they just didn't announce anything. There's no update. And then that's when people start to lose interest. Then you go to historic card sets. Yes, that'll excite a lot of players. It excites me. I think historic is the best format on MTG Arena right now. But I know a lot of people who are only there for standard or only there for brawl. Or maybe people who like the way MTG Arena works, but there's not a format for them. And so I think that there needs to be an even balance, but we are running out of features. And so I think that next year, if I do another video talking about 2022 and what stuff I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be a lot more events. You'll even notice a lot of the things were just, historic events, because that's honestly what I think it's going to turn into, is festivals and events. I hope we get some more interesting things. Maybe I'll do an updated version of this early into next year if they release a roadmap where I kind of put those things on this map and maybe adjust some things based on what we know. But this is everything that I am predicting here. I want to know what you guys think. Am I missing a feature that they said was coming? Do you think 4-player modes are coming in 2021, or maybe the announcement that they will eventually come? When do you think mobile will be released? I don't know. Leave any of your predictions down below. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.